Good evening, my brothers and sisters. Another day to give God praise, another day to give God worship. Welcome to the Love Church. My name is Pastor Wayne. I'm here to invite you to join us as we continue to celebrate men, to speak about health, wellness, to speak about togetherness, to highlight that men need to conversate with men. Men need to fellowship with men. Godly men needs godly men. We are a relational people, and we need to have this relationship with each other. So I'm grateful for Pastor Ieisha. I call her Pastor. I'm grateful for her to allow us as men to come together in this fashion, to share with you what we go through. And this is just a tip of the iceberg, because last year it started. This year is the second run, and I'm sure this is going to continue. I need you to fasten your seatbelt. I need you to get ready, because we are going to get so intense with this conversation. You don't need to miss this. You need to call somebody and let them know that we are speaking men language. We need to speak men language. We need to take the mask off. We need to stop hiding behind our pride. We need to come forward and share what we're going through. We have mental health just like anybody else. A matter of fact, men have more mental health than anybody else. So I'm asking you, if you don't mind sharing some love with Pastor, if you don't mind giving a bit of love offering to her, because she has been such a wonderful person, spending her time, her money, and everything to put this forward. For us to continue to do this, I'm asking you if you could please support her ministry. Pastor, you're a blessing. I pray that God will continue to bless you and use you. I pray that God will continue to pour into you as you pour into us. You are not selfish. You're a leader. That's why I call you Pastor. Amen. Somebody, get ready. My name is Pastor Wayne from Freedom Music Ministry. God bless you. Amen.
It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right.
I want to just go back to what you were talking about. I know, Doctor, you were talking about premarital counseling, how important that is. Okay. I do a lot of that in our church, premarital counseling. As a matter of fact, I made it a policy in our church that I would have
unless they do
it. They do it. Okay? And so far.
Oh, yeah, you said something that was good that had me thinking, but go ahead. When you said if he can't afford to put a roof over your head. Yeah, good.
One person that, you know, what I found over the years, in my experience, what I found, not only as a pastor, but also as a chaplain. I've been a chaplain in the prison system for 36 years. This is my 36 years. Don't worry, I'm thinking of retirement.
Yeah, you said that. Whatever.
Yeah. But because of that experience, you could imagine I had a lot of opportunities to interact with men.
Yeah.
Real men. I found one missing thing. And that was the lack of the sense of respect for authority and embracing responsibility. I use that in my premarital counseling. Well, especially when I'm deep, not just with more so I put it on the man. But you mentioned that, no, you said you should have single one person have counseling one-on-one, then another one, then bring it together. I do that. Not only I do that, I had one situation where I thought it was, I don't do it with everybody, they do it with everybody, but this one situation, because of what was going back and forth between this couple with the family, I suggested that I wanted to meet with your mother, and they brought in the family. Brought them in to the counseling, brought them into the counseling, and it was very productive. But here's my thing. I'm sitting down, I'm talking with guys, we're talking. I believe premarital counseling creates dialogue.
Yes.
That's the purpose. Get them to talk. And once you get them to talk, they realize there's a whole lot of stuff we need to talk about.
Yes.
That they haven't brought up.
Right.
Because some people over romanticize some things, but go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yes. And that really, to me, what I've experienced is that when they start talking about things, and it goes, I sometimes I just sit back and let them talk, and then it goes from just about them, and it mushrooms into, well, your family, his family, our family. That's good and that's healthy, because by the time they finish premarital counseling in about 4 or 5 weeks, then they really want to, they can really decide, I really want to do this. And responsibility is one of the things I emphasize.
Yes.
I emphasize that. I had one situation where I had this couple, won't mention their names, but I had this couple, and we're talking and we're having a good sessions. And I think it's from the third session when we got on something else. I think it was, I can't remember what happened. We were talking about living conditions, I think it was. And then I heard something that didn't sit right with me. And I'm asking about living conditions because it was a young couple. And then the guy begins to talk very foolishly. When I say foolishly, when people want to really evade something and they're talking about God, they emphasize God. That kind of evade. And I began to listen. Come to find, a short story start. Come to find out, his intention was, we're going to get married and we're going to live at her mom's house. And I says, time out.
Don't do it.
Time out. Right there, I shut it down. And I told him, we're going to end this right here. Okay? And we quote the scripture, leave him father and father. Because I believe that when two people get married, they need that space, privacy. So they can make mistakes without anybody chiming in. Okay, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And we settled that. He was angry. Both were. To a point, I refused to marry them. And but he didn't have a job.
That was a red flag right there.
They came back about a year later. I was surprised when they came back because I thought they were going to go to stay home. But a year later, they came back. Premarital counseling. He had a job and an apartment, raised everything.
Beautiful.
Yes.
But the thing I'm talking about, the thing I sense, I see here is if you have, and this is both men and women, but let me just talk about the men just for a moment, men and women. If they're in a home where there's certain examples being demonstrated by their father towards their mother in that union, it's impacting on them in a very positive way.
Yes.
Very positive way. If they're in a home where there's not discipline, okay, I know about discipline. I came from Guyana. They'll let you live, if you know what I'm talking about.
Come on, come through.
Okay? But if there's no discipline in the home, in that environment, then that child doesn't have discipline either. It grows up in that environment. If there's no respect for authority, I always teach that the first two people of authority that the child encounters is the parents. If they don't have respect for the authority, they don't have respect for authority no place else. So they take that into a relationship. Now I want to get married. They lack discipline, no sense of authority, no sense of respect for each other, etc., etc. one guy said to me in a session, I'm gonna say this and stop so somebody's gonna come in. Well, Pastor, she doesn't submit to me. So I said, she doesn't submit. No, she doesn't submit to me. And I said, well, what are you giving her to submit to? So what do you mean? Well, you submit to Christ as your Lord, right? Why do you submit to him? We take that scenario. The point that I was trying to make here is that he has taken the whole context of submission and use it in a negative way.
Right.
Okay? That if she's not doing ABC, she's not submitting to him.
Yeah.
But he forgets that in order for her to submit to him, he's got to give her a reason to submit.
Yeah.
So that's my take on premarital counseling, how important it is. Yes, you're going to find people when you're doing premarital counseling from different backgrounds, different
Cultures.
But you as the one who's counseling, you have the responsibility of meshing that.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not easy.
Yeah.
Some of my counseling will last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I've had some that last 8 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
You know,
So yeah.
it's sort of like everybody wants Superman, but nobody wants Clark Kent.
Right.
And everybody have these expectations of, being the man of steel, doing super things. And here is Clark Kent, the real person. I mean, but it's all like, if we can accept Clark Kent, we'll get Superman. But a lot of times we reject Clark Kent thinking we're going to get Superman. And the thing is, this is just a plain human being that has his own foils, faults, brokenness, and everything else. But we want the person with the bulletproof chest, a whole lot of energy, never gets tired, so forth and so on. And the reality is, in this counseling, that's where you have to go ugly early. You have to bring out that Clark Kent.
Go ugly early.
Where that brokenness is, where the issues are, because eventually it's going to show up. You can't hide who you are forever.
That's true.
Pretendedness, that fakeness that some people like to bring to the table, bring into the relationship.
Yeah.
Time is your greatest enemy.
You mean that weave got to come off?
That weed eventually is gonna come off. It's all the weed, the dude that's supposed to be all hyper masculine. We're gonna find out just how soft you really are, how hard you really are. But the thing is, the reality. We put these pictures up of what we want people to think we are, instead of having them accept who we really are.
Yeah, but the challenge is we don't let that other person know who we really are.
Exactly.
Until about certainly no earlier than 6. Usually it's around 8, and it could be as long as 12 months before on both sides of the fence that we really. And I counsel my gangs like, until y'all have one good knockout.
Yes.
But the problem is we get emotionally committed before that happens, and we fall in love, and we get connected to this image that's being, because we're both on our best behavior, and we fall in love with that until we actually get a glimpse of who we're really dealing with. But a couple of things, just real quick. It's like, because a couple of things I would like to try and tie. So that's one thing, right? Don't marry nobody. At least don't even think about it at least 8 months in. Because you ain't gonna see the real person.
Nah, you sure ain't?
Just tell yourself that ain't you. You're not gonna see the real person at least until 8 months in.
Right.
She gonna be on her best behavior, and you gonna be on yours, right? Yep. To your point, right? To your point, I've done counseling for couples both in secular spaces and in church spaces, and I will say in both, when they come back and they have problems, 70 to 80% of the time it's around not practicing the principle of leaving and cleaving. 70 to 80%, certainly 70 to 75% of the time, is some issue related to either on his side or her side, someone has not realigned former primary relationships and made this new thing the primary relationship. Sometimes it's mom, sometimes it's old girlfriend, old boyfriend, sometimes it's social media. I got one couple where the problem was the dude was an avid skater and he would not give up going to the skating ring 3 or 4 times a week. And that was the love that he would not reduce to put his marital relationship in primary position. So yeah, I would easily say 75% of marital problems are related to folks not being willing to practice the principle of leaving and cleaving. And one more thing I got to get in because it's connected to what you two said.
What we say?
The absence of good role models around, because in the absence of it, both our brothers. Well, we know okay. Can we kind of take the next step into realness?
Yes, come on.
We know.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Most men think about love from a certain area, right? Right. We don't think about love. Our love is directed through
What they see.
through what they see and our hormonal.
Right.
Right. But what I've been finding, right, is, and we can't make this assumption, and I want to hear from young bucks. I'm OG, right? I want to see if this still rings true, right? Because
Well, I'm young, so let me chime in too, okay?
right, in this day and age, the sexual ethics that were in place in previous years are not in place even among our Christian sisters.
Now that's the truth.
Our Christian, there are sisters that have a love for the Lord or profession of love for the Lord, sit in church every Sunday, but their sexual ethics are different today.
Yes.
They are sexually active.
Yes, sir.
And they don't see it as necessarily conflictual with their profession of faith. The challenge is in the absence of the models, there are too many sisters that don't realize that if you give it up too quick, you're taken off the list for marriage.
That's true.
Right? But they think some of our sisters can we go?
We need to hear from the men.
Can we go? They don't know. They think giving it up quick puts them on the list.
Please help us women know.
But if they give it up too quick, they get taken off the list. Now, you two let me know if this still rings true.
I'm letting my brother do lead off leg.
I had 3 categories, right?
We talked about this.
I had 3, right?
Yeah.
I had, so you let me know if it's antiquated or not. I had my girlfriends I just ran with. These my home, listen, love them. Oh, could spend all night talking, not sexually involved. These were just my running girls, right? Then I had my girls, it was just about the doo-doo. It's just about, that was a whole nother set of girls. And not that I didn't care for them, because my nature was never, but the core of the relationship was the get down, right? And then I had a short list of potential marriages. And that list was the shortest list, right? But if any sister gave it up too quick, they kind of got moved over this list over to this list.
Wow.
Right now,
You said the dot.
I'm curious, one, whether that still rings true, or that's old school.
That still rings true. Well, can I ask something?
Let me get Young Bucks in.
So are you asking like whether those categories still ring true or the dynamic that you were describing?
Both ends.
The dynamic is described, but I think it's a little bit more, it's a little bit more intense, I think, in terms of resistance. Because what ends up happening.
Well, one last thing.
Yeah.
Because of not only the change in sexual ethics, but the change in cultural ethics, it ain't about me coming after it no more. They coming back.
Okay, so especially a good wholesome
Right?
man.
Okay, so
Yeah.
now
And that's this, the headline is here. It's not even an outside the church. The headline is, I always say that there's a theological divide with brothers and sisters in the church in view of the sexual ethic. Because there's almost this dynamic where, number one, it's like any view of it's like this. What they say is like today, women want men like traditional men, right? You know, but like men can't ask for a traditional woman. And so there's this dynamic of, if you even put any ethic, it's like authority. The God of the time is autonomy, authority. So what you're saying, you're trying to control my sexuality, you're trying to control. This is women in the church, like really well decided. Like I follow on Twitter. We preach at a conference. They are saying this, and so guys are like, they don't say nothing because you don't want the smoke. You don't want to have that. You just kind of peep, and so then it becomes, oh no, where's these guys? What's happened? They see you and they not pursuing. They don't want that energy. Right? But it seems like double faces that you can't say. It's like, we can't say that.
Wow.
We're not allowed to say this. We can't. If we say this, we're gonna get dragged through the mud. How dare you? Who do you think you are? How does my sexuality doesn't say anything about my value. I'm not saying that. Before Christ, all of us are valuable. But well, why does Titus have these character things? Why don't you accept all men? Like, so you have standards for me, but my unique standards that is from I'm not a woman. But my standards as a man, you can't accept. But you give me standards of, you gotta have your stuff together, you got this, you gotta be in shape, you gotta have your money, you need to do that. The minute a guy brings anything visual, that's shallow, that's this, it's just like. And so I think there's this dynamic of, you can't speak, even the fact that you said that, we can't say that in the church. We can't say it out of the church. So men just have to be silent, but men are voting in silence.
Sure.
Can I? Let me get the second young buck in.
I agree, and I personally think that those dynamics still. Here's my preface: singleness is not a sickness, but sometimes it keeps you sick less. And I think all of these aspects that have been brought out are uniquely valuable because you. And I say this all the time that. Being by myself doesn't make me incomplete, because there's a certain wholeness, I believe, that can be obtained even when you're by yourself, because one is a whole number. So before you become one, become whole. And so
right.
You have to channel those family issues, those issues that stem from, what their mothers were, as it pertains to men looking for the qualities in a wife. What you desire, or not so much what you desire, but what you need for it. Because I've had to throw my list away and go from what I've seen. Because this Saturday, my grandparents will be celebrating 59 years of marriage. And my parents 42, and other things. So I have almost 100 years of marriage to look at combined. And I'm saying to myself, I have to marry right. I don't have time to get involved in something, as you said, doctor, because of my emotions or because of what I see in the framework, because eventually that will fade.
Right.
That will dissipate. So I have to go with what,
And you have no margin for error, do you?
And please, before
and if I do,
you're a single man and you're clergy.
And your clergy.
You have no margin for error.
Correct.
And so there are people, are you out there dating? No, because this can't go wrong. Because my name, my character is at stake. I have to be silver bullet sniper.
So
Silver bullet sniper.
So to protect my own name and character, that was my pre-Christ framework. I don't think like that no more.
I hear you. They're in practice. I get it. I get it. But that's the reality of what's going on. Go ahead.
My thing was to all three of you is that, and I agree with everything you're saying, but my previous life, I was in the Army. I was in a position that I got to see. It's a macroism, that the macro and how things are changing, the dynamics of relationships and stuff like that. And I won't go into the real details, but what makes me ask this question is from the things that I've observed. And that's why is that men and women, are we reaching or moving towards a sexual parity? You see, that their dynamics now are like what ours were few years ago, because like I was saying, women are aggressive now. And they have these stipulations of what they want to be satisfied, where they want to go financially, sexually, and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like now they're not holding up the flag that I'm the good girl, you know, and it goes back to what you were saying earlier. But the thing is, we've come to a place of what we would say is liberation, or not the bondages of years ago. And it's just a totally different dynamic that everybody's moving towards right now. And it's uncomfortable so far for men because of what we've known traditionally. But then on the other end, it's also uncomfortable for women because of where they're going.
I think the thing I struggle with is I am of just theological deep conviction and out of God's love. I think men and women were different.
Yes.
And I think one of it's, for example, I see this with work coming from a business perspective. What my mom was so wise about this. With all the new opportunities that have come, just everyone making the money doing nothing, she was just like, you now are liberated, but you're also now free to have the same problems that men had.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who the wives were mad because you come at home, spend time, he was providing, but the fallen nature of work, there was a different weight.
Yeah.
It was destroying that man, even when, so now you have women doing that and you have the same problem men had, and you're different. And I think there's this dynamic in written, like, oh, I could do it too. Well, look at the impact it's having on me.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Right? It's not good for either of us to do it, but look at the statistics.
Yeah.
As much as we want to talk about, you know, we're parent and all stuff like that, look at the statistics. We're not parent. Guys, there is like this wall, I think, particularly in the Black community. There are brothers standing at the water like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't.
But that's what I'm saying, that the way the dynamics are changing. We see men observing it one way, like you're saying, but then women, on the other hand, are observing it another way. And that conflict right there, somehow, some way, in this meshing, you know, we got to work it out, is what I'm saying. Because a lot of the labels that we used to use on women nowadays, they take that in pride. Whereas, you know, we still try to attach those labels, but it's like, no, so that's what you think. And I'm just saying that I understand, I agree, but the big thing is the way our cultural norms, social norms, community norms are shifting.
But the challenge is,
because I want to chime in. I'm like this.
the weight of it all is a lot to bear, right? And you know,
The dynamics are changing.
Yes.
yeah, it's like with it being in flux, the challenge of navigating all of it, right? Along with navigating everything else that must be navigated, just the weight of navigating it all is leading to an increased divorce rate among millennials. I can't tell you how many millennials and younger are getting married or getting divorced within the first 5 years of marriage because of the weight of navigating it all, right? Of trying to figure it out, right?
Right.
In the absence of newer structures to kind of frame it, right? Just the weight of it all is really impacting upon, and for those that even don't get divorced, the strain of navigating, you know, the energy being utilized to try and navigate it all, right? It's just,
I don't know. I agree with this, and I think, you know, I think spending so much time. This is a passion that I have, particularly with our generation, and I think the thing that I'm seeing is it's not only just the divorce; it's the physical manifestation. For when I say men and women are different, I think there's instinctual things as a man to want to provide, to want to lead, to want to provide. I'm seeing so many of my sisters I went to business school with on their 5th, 6th fibroid surgery, stress, cortisol.
Jesus.
You doing it all by yourself. You weren't designed to do it all by yourself.
Amen.
So
Hallelujah.
You weren't designed to take all the sexual trauma and this, and then emotionally, how you process, how God has designed you to process, think you're going to be emotionally healthy to bond with a man after that. You can't handle it. It's both sinful, but you can't handle it. And so now, yes, parity, but God did not design the foundation the same. And so now we're seeing the results of it. And particularly in the Black community, and because of what happened, and we know what happened systematically, and you knocked the man out the house, you put crack in, you took the welfare where you had to choose between the man or the home. So now our homes are more matriarchal. And so you have very strong, self-sufficient women and very men who can't be responsible.
Right.
And so now then those women come in relationships and can't respect that man. Because it's like, I'm hypergamous. I want somebody I can look up to and learn from. This is the stuff we don't talk about. And this is the dynamic I'm seeing in our relationships, where it's kind of like, I want this type of man. I want this type of man. The type of man you can pair with you don't respect. Because you're making more money, you're doing that. And so I think this is the stuff we won't talk about because it's messy. Right? But I think this is the dynamic where almost like, no, our sisters are being broken down because we weren't designed, we need to care for them. And I don't like this.